Hello, welcome back to another podcast. I think we're calling it the Lovely Humans Club podcast, but I don't know yet because I actually haven't published any of these because I'm nervous. You'd like to think that for someone who has like 2 YouTube channels and 2 podcasts already, that this would feel totally fine and totally normal. But over there, I like teach people how to do something that I'm pretty good at. And I'm just like sharing my soul with you guys. So today's podcast, we're going to kind of dive into what my fertility journey looked like because I have a feeling, okay. I'm trying to figure out how honest and open I should be with this. I feel like a lot of us are getting the short side of the stick and we don't know a lot of information about the things that we use or the things around us. And I feel like knowledge is power in this situation. So I figured if you find yourself struggling with fertility at all, just maybe this episode will help you. I highly encourage you to look into everything that I'm saying if you are interested in it. Do not take what I'm saying as fact. Trust but verify, right? So if you hear something and you're like, wait a minute, I experienced that, or wait a minute, that's interesting, I should dive into that a little bit further, I highly encourage you to do that. So this again is my personal fertility journey. This is not to be confused with any sort of medical advice. I'm just a really big researcher. Okay. And occasionally we'll even read scientific papers or maybe just the abstracts because I don't want to read the whole paper. But if I have information that I want to figure out, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to do it. Okay. Or I'm going to try my hardest too. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. So backstory, I was, and occasionally still do, I started intermittent fasting in like probably junior high or high school, without knowing what it was. I just didn't want to make breakfast. I'm the kind of person who, if I'm stressed or something doesn't sound good, I simply won't eat. I get it from my dad, right? We're very emotionally attached to eating in the opposite direction. We don't binge eat when we're stressed. We don't eat when we're stressed, which a lot of you are like, oh my gosh, that's not fair. Trust me, we're at the beginning of the podcast, okay? There's a long way to go after this. Spoiler alert, it was not a good call for my body. It kind of only got worse when I was a single mom of twins. If you missed the original episode, the first episode that I did, I kind of walk you through that journey, what that journey looked like and what that story was and what that felt like for me. But that also permeated multiple areas of my life, naturally. Like I'm a single mom, or I was a single mom, and it was a really hard season. And so I found myself not eating or happily skipping lunch, right? So we'd have more food in the fridge and I'd kind of give myself a little pat on the back, being like, good job. Now there's more food for your kids. I wouldn't touch the fruit, right? I bought the fruit only for the kids. And to this day, I have to work myself up to eat fruit. It's still, my relationship with food is still a work in progress. But this went on for years. Elias and I didn't get married until the girls were 6. So a decent amount of time coupled with not eating breakfast for so long. So within 6 months of getting married, we get pregnant with Silas, which fantastic. Love the kid. Super excited. I wanted the age gap to be as small as possible. Joke's on me because the Lord had different plans for the splay of children's ages that we have. But his plans are better than mine. We moved to Murrieta, a different place in California, about an hour and a half away from my parents. And I started to experience a lot of anxiety, like the kind of face numbing anxiety. And I'd never experienced this before in my life. I'm like, what on earth is happening? The tip of my nose would go numb and I'd rub it. And I couldn't figure out where all this was coming from. Of course, this is when I was pursuing my business even harder. I'd started in Orange County and kept growing it when we moved to Murrieta. This is where I started my YouTube channel. This is where I built out my first course. A lot of stuff happened here, but I couldn't figure out why the first half of the day, you see where I'm going with this? Why the first half of the day, I couldn't function very well. It felt like I had a scrim pulled in front of me. I don't know if you guys are familiar with theater terms, but a scrim is like a see-through fabric drape curtain that goes across the front that kind of makes everything a little bit hazy. That's what I felt like emotionally and mentally and physically every single day. And it wasn't until around, 11, 12 o'clock that would fade and I could feel a lot more functional. And this is when the girls would go off to school. We weren't homeschooling then. So I kind of had to spend the first half of the day just in survival mode, and then I could be productive, and then I could move forward. So luckily, with Silas being so little, he was pretty easy to handle at that point. And that's when I started hearing more about pro-metabolic eating. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And now Silas is 2 years old. And when he was about 18 months old, we decided that we wanted to start trying for another one. And nothing's happening. Just to kind of explain the concurrent stories as they're going on. So I hear about pro-metabolic eating. And I hear about how it can help with anxiety and how it can help with fertility. And I'm like, what on earth does food have to do with anxiety or fertility? That's a separate system of the body, right? That's what I thought. That's kind of how I learned science. I don't think it was very well communicated to me, or at least not, my take home was not this, that all of these systems are interconnected and they all do services for each other. I never saw it that way. I thought they were all separate. My food does not affect my brain, does not affect my anxiety, does not affect my fertility. And this started to unravel a lot of stuff for me, a lot of things that I kind of had believed to be true. At this point in time, also, I was severely underweight. Severely underweight. And I thought it was normal, and I thought it was okay. And I look back on some of these photos and some of these videos. There is one distinct video that I remember. I was wearing a purple tank top, and you can see my rib cage through the front of my body. You guys, I was a twig. And I wasn't not eating, because now we were married, we're making good money. I wasn't not eating because, of any deep-seated emotional reasons. I had just been doing it for so long that I thought everything was okay. So I changed up my eating style. I probably would have done it a little bit more slowly. Hindsight is 20/20, right? I probably would have eased into it a little bit more because I did put on a decent amount of weight pretty quickly that I wasn't really happy with, but I knew my body needed it. I had to relearn what eating and nutrition was from a perspective that I'd never been taught. I ended up learning that having an animal-based protein before having my coffee in the morning would radically change my entire life. Is that like a very exaggerative statement? Yes. However, when I started actively prioritizing animal proteins before consuming coffee, my anxiety went away. What was happening is the caffeine, I'm assuming, would spike my cortisol. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what the relationship of those two are. But my body could not handle all of that caffeine. And I'd been doing it for years. And I'd always kind of seen health as like a switch being flipped. But no, they're building blocks. So my body got to the point where it's like, we can't process this caffeine because you're not feeding us properly. So over the course of, a couple of weeks, by eating eggs in the morning, by eating yogurt, by eating something with cream cheese on it. I mean, ideally, the more animal protein for me, the better. And by waiting until that was done, by waiting until I was done consuming my food to start drinking my coffee, my anxiety went away. Because I gave my stomach something to work on, right? Like something a little bit heartier than just air or stomach fluids. I learned about the importance of red meats. I learned about PUFAs and how those are actually really, really not good for you. Polyunsaturated fatty acids. And again, research all this, all right? Like, feel free to look into this. Don't take my word for it necessarily. But from what I understand, those are the oils that will oxidize in your body and can be super toxic. They can be inflammatory. They can cause like actual skin issues, discoloration. I highly recommend that you look into that one because that's a rabbit hole. And that's probably a bit more than we want to be doing on this particular episode. Who knows? Maybe we could do a deep PUFA dive if you guys want. And I also learned that we have a severe lack of vitamins and minerals because of monocropping. You guys, this was such a transformative season in my life. And all of you are like, you're just using a bunch of words and I don't understand what you're saying. Monocropping is where most people will get their fruit and vegetables, where it's one single crop grown in the same plot of land over and over and over again. And if you're going conventionally, then you'll need to be adding in fertilizer, you'll need to be adding in pest repellent, insecticides to keep your crop safe. Oftentimes they are engineered, bioengineered, genetically modified, so they'll be stronger and able to grow more resistant to different bugs and different things that attack the plants. And by repeatedly monocropping in the same plot of land, we end up stripping the soil of a lot of nutrients, especially when it's left uncovered in the off season. That topsoil is just washing away. So now I've realized, okay, I need more animal protein in me before I have coffee because otherwise then I can't feel my face. Apparently, I should probably be prioritizing red meat a little bit more, paying attention to PUFAs, and trying to avoid monocropped vegetables and fruits when possible because they aren't as nutritious as they could be. And then I found out that soy products are highly estrogenic. We're going to pause there for just a sec. My mom had endometriosis. I show markers for endometriosis. I'm pretty sure my sister has it as well, which is, in my understanding, can usually be indicative of or cause excess estrogen in the body. Do you know how many products have soy in them? So many products have soy, or like soybean oil, or just so many things. It's in so many things. So I started to read the labels of absolutely everything. And again, please don't let this overwhelm you. This is like a multiple year journey. Okay, so you're getting a fire hose version of it. There's an Instagram account called A Little Less Toxic, and she does a great job of like giving better options, right? Because I think easing yourself into these sorts of decisions and into this kind of lifestyle is of the utmost importance, because if you dive into feet first and you're researching all the things and you're making all the changes, it can be like severely overwhelming. So I'm relearning my relationship with food. I'm learning that the food that we're eating probably isn't as healthy for us as what we thought it was. And I'm starting to make some shifts into different steps that I think are better for my health, better for my family's health. And I'm reading labels. And now we're a couple years into trying. Okay, I'm tracking my cycle. I have tracked my cycle for years. I was using Temp Drop for a while, which was pretty darn effective when I was trying to track those temps. I couldn't figure out what was going on and why we were continuously struggling with fertility. Now remember, all this is happening concurrently, right? All this is happening at the same time. So talk about fire hose of information. I couldn't stop researching this stuff, which again, in hindsight, I probably should have pumped the brakes and taken it a little slower. But I'm a research girly at heart, and I just honestly, I couldn't I couldn't be stopped, okay? And that's when, around this time, again, timeline's a little bit fuzzy on this. Alex Conjolier from Phil and Alex Conjolier YouTube. I actually went to high school with Phil. I remember seeing Phil and Alex in Trader Joe's in Orange County. I mean, they're never going to see this, but if they did, I wonder if they'd remember this moment. And I'm shopping with my girls, and Phil and Alex come over and offer to pay for my groceries because they knew I was a single mom. And I was like, I don't think I took them up on it. But I remember being really humbled, and I just wanted to squeeze the heck out of them because Alex didn't know me. I went to school with Phil. I think he was the president of the FCA at our high school. So just stand-up guy, always has been. One of the greatest laughs I think I've ever heard in my life. So Alex at this time was talking on her channel about her fertility journey, and now her doctor recommended she starts looking into the makeup products she uses. And I went, I'm sorry. What? I've already been trying to figure out the food. You mean you have to figure out my face too? And she's like, oh yeah, and skincare products. I'm sorry. What? So now I have to start reading those labels too? And I was like, what am I missing? What is going on? So I'm already working on upping the nutritional value of the things that I'm eating, reading the labels, trying to avoid soy if possible, because I'm pretty sure I have excess estrogen. We're really prioritizing eating organic at home. We don't mind getting drive-through when we're out and about, but that's a priority of ours. Okay, cool. I've got that locked and loaded. We learned some things. This is here. Now I have to tackle all of this other stuff. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. And Alex went on to say that there are a lot of endocrine disruptors in beauty products. And I was like, what on earth is an endocrine disruptor? Well, allow me to break it down for you. I'm going to read it off my notes here just so I don't screw up the definition that basically I gleaned online. So imagine a hormone and receptor as a key and a lock. So hormones are produced by the endocrine system and then sent throughout your body to the receptor, right, where it's received as a key is received into a lock. Well, an endocrine receptor mimics or looks a lot like the key, the hormone that our body naturally produces, and slides right on into that lock, so the receptor cannot receive the hormones. And what that ends up doing is it either minimizes the activity of that hormone or maximizes it. And honestly, when it was explained to me like that, it made a heck ton of sense. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously if there's these disruptors, maybe this could be contributing to why I think I have excess estrogen, right? Maybe some of these products are getting in there and they're interrupting things. And so my body is now producing extra estrogen and trying to get it into the receptors, and it can't because it's blocked. So great. Now I've explained what an endocrine disruptor is. Now, where are they? How do we avoid them? What do we do? Don't panic. Okay. They're everywhere. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. Alex's doctor was right. It's in makeup. It's in skincare. It's in your body wash. It's probably in your shampoo and in your conditioner. It's in your laundry detergent. It's in the dryer sheets that you use. It's in cleaning products. It's in so many different things. And hearing that and realizing that, I got real scared there for a minute. Where I was like, okay, so it's basically everywhere. But I knew that I couldn't let that fear cripple or control me, because then we wouldn't go anywhere, right? We'd already conquered food, or we're doing our best to conquer food. I tackled that beast. We're in the process of tackling it. I can figure this one out too. So here's what I decided to do. I looked at accounts like A Little Less Toxic, and I was like, that is going to be my theme song, A Little Less Toxic. I'm just going to do what I can to reduce my toxic load, because I think God gave us really, really cool and really effective bodies. We just have to treat them nicely. We have filters in place for our bodies. So I rely on that bit of information like a life vest, okay? Okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We are working towards progress. We're gonna lessen our toxic load, right? And I'll tell you what that journey looked like in just a moment. But God gave us filters for a reason. and we are making so much progress, okay? So I'm not going to get crippled by this, the fact that there is so much of this and it's kind of everywhere. We're just going to slowly start making some changes in our lives with what we can afford and at the pace that I can do it. Now, because I'd already done this with food, right? I completely reworked the way I was eating. I gained a lot of weight. Well, not a lot. I gained a decent amount of weight that my body probably needed. But to me, of course, in my mind, it was a lot from where I was at before. I did that all pretty quick. But when trying to transfer out some of the endocrine disruptors and trying to lessen the toxic load, that's where I went a little bit more slowly. I told myself, okay, I'm not going to throw away these cleaning products. I have them. They're right here. I am slowly going to transition in cleaner options. That's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my goal, okay? I've been using these for a really long time, and as much as I want to go throw everything out, I don't think another week or two of using this Windex is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, okay? We are just trying to lessen the toxic load, just bit by bit. So when we ran out of that body wash, I bought a cleaner option. When we ran out of that shampoo, I bought a cleaner option. I can tell you with full confidence, we still have toilet bowl gel cleaner in this house because we have a 50-year-old house, okay? And these toilets are probably just as old, so they stain really easy. It's unsightly. I'm making excuses. I could probably figure out another system. I just haven't yet. Why? Because we purchased them a long time ago and there's still some left in them. I also still use toxic makeup because the natural stuff just doesn't cut it for me. I use the natural stuff quite often. But when it comes to filming days, no ma'am. We're slapping on the toxic stuff. And if you guys would like a full list of clean products, let me know. I could probably easily throw together a guide with links to all of my favorite clean products that will hopefully make your life a lot easier so you don't have to hunt for these things. If you trust me when I say that I've done my research and you just want an easy go-to list to start replacing some of these things, I'd be happy to put that together for you. Just let me know. So I'm much more slowly transitioning this area of life. I'm much more slowly making the tweaks and adjustments here. Intentionally, with thought, with care, with research, trying to find things that can replace the more toxic versions that we were using before. And guess what? I'm still not pregnant. And I'm like, okay, we can't afford a fertility doctor, all right? So this is why I'm going, you know what, to the wall, okay? Because I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm trying to get this figured out on my own. We can't afford to go into somebody that is so expensive. Elias is unemployed at this point, and we are literally just living off of whatever I'm making from the course and from YouTube. And so we're like, well, it's just going to be on the Lord's timing, I guess. So we keep trying and we keep waiting, and it's discouraging and it's depressing. And, you know, a lot of people are like, just go see somebody. Okay, fertility specialists are so expensive. And I'm doing my best that I can on my own with what I have, and it's all I can offer at the moment. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, Elias is having this conversation. I don't even know what the impetus of this was, but Elias has a group of friends that live in a different state. They all grew up in California together, and a bunch of these guys mobbed on out to Arizona and then just like stayed there. And so it's this great, really tight-knit group of guys. I adore them all to pieces. And they all decided to go get their testosterone levels tested, which endocrine disruptors can also strongly affect testosterone. It affects multiple hormones. It can affect your cortisol. It can affect, if your endocrine system and your adrenals are very closely related. So if you are experiencing anxiety, it could also be, again, from what I understand, look into it, it might be the endocrine disruptors. There's a lot to unpack there. There's so many things that these affect. Right now we're just talking about fertility, but I highly recommend, if you feel at all inspired or pushed or pulled by this, that you look further into it. But they go get their testosterone tested. All of them, same doctor. And he's like, yeah, you guys all have low T. Here's my suggestion. You can either come in here once a week for a shot of synthetic testosterone, right? And you'll have to keep coming in. And the downside of that is when you stop, then your production's actually going to dip down a lot before it can build back up. Or you could take beef liver. They all chose the shot. I love them. I love them. They all chose the shot. Elias is telling me the story and I was like, what? And I, in all of my research, have already found out that beef liver is like nature's multivitamin. I have been taking it for over a year now, okay? Sometimes I just would eat cubes of it raw, like an ounce or two of it. And that's going to gross a lot of you out. And I'm exposing myself by saying that. But I wanted this baby so badly that I was like, I'm going to get the freshest source of liver. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to do an orange juice shooter right afterwards just to try to get the most minerals. I had already realized I'm missing out on minerals because of the monocropping, and I already knew that I need more red meat in my system, and beef liver had everything, B12, folate, so many good things in it. And so I have been slinging this for 12 plus months. My husband tells me the story, and I'm like, okay, you take capsules. It's really not that bad. And I went, you know what? You should probably be taking beef liver. If they all have low T, and that the doctor explained to them that could be a really good option for them, maybe you should try it, Because I already have some. You could just take some of it. He could not do the raw at all. I don't blame him. It's just not for everybody. So he starts taking it. We got pregnant within a week. You know how we're like 30 minutes into this podcast? And I walked you through all the things that I did for this fertility journey. All worth it. All good things. All good things. Started eating better. Put on weight, which I probably needed, but sometimes I'm still a little bitter about. Read every single label of every single food. Changed my makeup. Changed our cleaning products. Changed all of our body washes and shampoos and skincare. He takes it for a week, and we get pregnant. So, it's not medical advice, right? I'm just sharing my experience and my story, but that feels pretty irrefutable to me. And what I like about beef liver specifically is it naturally helps your body to produce testosterone on its own. So if you stop, it's not like you are then going to have that slump that you do within the synthetic shots. So whether you are working with a medical professional or you are just trying to figure this out on your own, I hope that some or all of our journey can be encouraging to you, can be of educational help to you, or give you some sort of impetus to go research, just like a starting point to start go looking into these things. Maybe you start reading labels more. Maybe you switch away from soy milk and start using actual whole milk instead. Maybe you start making some of these swaps and some of these changes and incorporate a little bit more red meat and a little less PUFAs. Maybe you change your shampoo or your body wash, or maybe, just maybe, you get your husband to start taking some beef liver because it could be all his fault. Did I mention that this was a 4-year journey to get pregnant with our fourth? 4 years. 4 years. That is all. So that's all we have for today's podcast, guys. Thank you so much for listening, or if you are watching the video version of it, I hope you enjoyed coming with me on our fertility journey. I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.